Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to 5 Minutes with Phil. Great to have you here today. And yes, I always dress like this. Anyway, it's a Monday. We're starting a brand new week, and I'm anxious to share some thoughts with you today from God's Word. And today, I want us to take a look, actually, at a couple of scriptures, and especially in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah, we see God saying something to His people that I believe also applies to us here today in 2021. And I want you to see this. Take a look at the screen. It says this in Isaiah chapter 14, beginning in verse 24. The Lord Almighty has sworn, surely as I have planned, so it will be. And as I have purposed, so it will happen. Yeah, you know what that verse tells me? God is always in control. Always. Always. And don't we live in just a chaotic world right now? I mean, everything is just so kind of crazy and everything is just kind of, it's all over the place right now. And sometimes it seems our lives are out of control and our culture's out of control and our country's out of control, our leadership, our government. But then God reminds us that He is in control and He will do whatever He wants. Now, this is important, especially to those of us who have been less than perfect or less than faithful in our lives. And that would be all of us, okay? I think sometimes we get this idea that one mistake on our part is going to throw off God's will or God's plan for us for the rest of time or for the rest of eternity, maybe. And I'm just not that powerful. God's will and God's plan is way more powerful than any human, than my mistake, than my efforts, than anything I can do. God's plan is always superior and way more powerful. So the question might be then, what is God's plan for me? Well, there's a great verse in Jeremiah chapter 29 that a lot of us love to quote, and I want to share that with you here. It says this, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future." That's God's plan for you. God is not out to get you. Isn't that good news? He's not out to get you. He's not trying to make your life miserable. You don't have a target on your back. You are not God's whipping child. That is not God's plan for you. God has a specific plan for me and for you, and that plan is greater than my mistakes, and that plan is greater than me, and that plan is greater than what anyone else can do to me or about me or whatever. God's plan is greater. And His plan is to prosper you, not to harm you. God's plan for you today, the rest of this week, the rest of this year, the rest of your life is to give you a hope and to give you a future. And I want you to know that today. I want you to know that God's in control. Whatever He wants to do, He will do. And what He wants to do is to give you that hope and to give you that future. And there is nothing anyone can do about that. I want you to rest on that today. That's how much He loves you. That's how much He cares for you. So today, if you're struggling, maybe your concept of God is such that makes you it makes you think that, well, God doesn't care. God cares about everybody else but me. You are not the exception to any of these promises that we just read. I'm going to say it again. You are not the exception. God has a plan for you, and He loves you. And I want you to rest in that today. Okay? My time's up. Thank you so much. Lord willing, we'll see you next time. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.